by Kevin Poulter, who's an expert in cybersecurity issues. So we just gave a little flavour of what's going on, but in simple terms, Kevin, what's actually been done by these criminal gangs?
It's been a very professional operation, perhaps over months or even years. The gangs have actually gone out and found the individuals who are working in the banks and used phishing techniques to try and get their confidential information, their passwords. From there, they've been able to get into the banks themselves through the security and have just been sat there observing, watching how the banks operate, watching how things work, and then taken the opportunity to find their time and take the money. And what they've been very clever to do is to take small, well, relatively small amounts over a period of time, reaching this $1 billion mark, which is currently forecast.
So if they are doing this, what are the banks saying about this? Are the banks actually acknowledging these losses?
We don't actually know the figures, and of course the banks probably don't want to tell us too much either. It's potentially embarrassing for them. What's important is that some specialists now say that the gangs have stopped, or they're diminishing how much they are doing now, and actually it's possible that the threat has been stopped and they're moving on somewhere else. Now, what's interesting is, like you've already said, Russian banks have been targeted, those in the Ukraine as well, and there's a suspicion that this has come from Russia or associates from Russia, hackers over there. So we don't know. What we do hope is that these things have now stopped, but we may never know the figures involved.
Because we don't actually know, as you say, the companies involved. Presumably, I mean, this could be very damaging, couldn't it, if the names got out?
We were talking earlier, weren't we, about I mean, it's not just about money, which is bad enough, but if you start to disintegrate a financial system, like, for example, the London Stock Exchange or something like that, or Wall Street, which could be done. I mean, if you can get in, they will get in, there's no question about that. Then you are in really serious trouble, because the world is basically, the financial world is spinning plates. And once one starts to fall, others will, and it could be very serious indeed. And Kevin's absolutely right. I mean, the interesting thing about this is that it was just a little, well, not a little bit, if you think of millions, a little, but in terms of the bank size, a bit here and a bit there, so that it's not immediately noticeable. You don't know how long it's been going on.
And of course, this is a corporate issue. Consumers haven't, in this situation, been affected, but it's using those same techniques. Starting out small, people who do keep the same passwords need to be quite careful. And we know that now the governments around the world, particularly the Obama administration here in the UK, are taking steps to try and reduce this, to tackle this. But how much they're likely to do and how much they can do is yet to be seen.
I mean, do we presume that this to be correct, though? I mean, is this credible, or is this just Kaspersky drumming up business? There
have been two reports. There's one in December as well that puts sort of lesser figures on the estimates. And they've now come out and said, look, we expect it to have now diminished. That was a company called Fox IT, and they say that we're not seeing quite as much now. It has diminished, but it's all come to a bit of a head. Of course, this is a big story. This is big news, and where large organisation financial institutions are being affected, they do have the pressure now to start making regulatory change, organisational change at the highest levels.
Because we're seeing this more and more, aren't we? We've reported stories here before. You've come and spoken to us about them. Last year, the Associated Press news feed, Twitter feed was hacked, and there was this story going around that the president in the US had been injured, and that affected the markets even, didn't it?
Yeah, and of course Central Command late last year, I think, was also affected with their Twitter accounts hacked in a very similar way. Very sort of simple techniques. These phishing emails saying, send me some money, or let me know where I can send some money to you on your bank account. People fall for these still, and it seems that even people at government level and in the security, the secure banks, financial institutions, are also being caught out by these quite simple techniques.
Buy gold and stick it under your mattress.
Stick it under your mattress.
That's absolutely right.
The simplest solution.
People listen to you and actually do it.
Is it the case, though, that the institutions themselves need to be taken to task for? Because these are institutions that expect to be hacked, so it shouldn't be down to individuals within it to allow these people to get in.
It does worry you, doesn't it? But when we're seeing the banks that are being... But it's also at government level. If the governments are getting attacks like this, it also means that it's quite simpler to do than we actually think. And it does raise further questions of privacy. Last time I was here talking about the dark web, the dark net. These sorts of things will push people off the surface web from online banking and look at other ways, like you say, to try and get around the potential attacks.
You've been here talking about this before. I think we're going to talk to you about this again, unfortunately. For now, though, Kevin, thanks very much.
Thank you.